So I love making these videos about like personal finances and budgeting and investing and making the most of your money and really anything that has to do with your personal finances, or I guess I should say my personal finances. I really love talking about this stuff because there's a couple reasons why. Number one, I've always been intrigued by the idea of making the most of my money. Whether it is earning more money or making the most of the money I have, or finding ways to make the money that I do have earn even more money. And this is going back this is going back years, man. I remember when I was like 11 or 12, I saw my older friends had money and they bought, mopeds and different things. And I was just like, you need to have money in order to make things happen and get what you want in life. And that's not to say money's everything, but it's pretty fucking important. Let's be honest. I mean, you want something and you have money, you can pretty much make it happen, for the most part. So, with all that being said, I want to focus today's video on why I think most people stay broke. I'm going to give you 4 reasons why. And then finally, I want to talk about the one thing that I think is sort of that pivotal moment when people go from living paycheck to paycheck and staying broke to actually starting to make progress towards building wealth and gaining financial freedom. So again, we're going to go over the 4 things that I believe are the biggest reason why people stay broke. And then I'm going to go over the one thing that I think is the ultimate game changer that shifts people from being broke to starting to actually gain some traction and head towards financial freedom. So without further ado, let's get right into this. So number one, um, overspending and social pressure. These 2 things combined together are very dangerous when it comes to your personal finances, because oftentimes, we spend our weeks working, we spend our weekdays working, and then maybe we go to the gym and we meal prep. We do all these things that we feel like we have to do, especially working. I mean, most of us do work, Monday through Friday. And I'll say that, we don't get that much free time. So when we do have free time, we want to spend it, with our friends and have fun, right? But oftentimes that involves spending money. So we get caught up in this cycle of being miserable all week, Monday through Friday. And then when Friday night rolls around, we go out, we party, we hit the bar. Then Saturday, we go to some social event and drop another 50 to $100. And then on Sunday, we go shopping and, we go out to eat and we get new clothes. And it's like all this adds up, right? So the pressure you're feeling from wanting to have a social life and being able to, wanting to be able to socialize with your friends, while it often involves spending money, it doesn't have to, right? So you can still socialize and not overspend. It doesn't always have to involve spending. But I think this is one of the biggest factors that contributes to people living paycheck to paycheck, is because they're trying to maintain a social life. And as a result of that, they're overspending on shit that they don't need, primarily going out to eat and going out and drinking and buying things they don't need. But I mean, some people, I mean, even girls I know, like they'll just go shopping just to go shopping and they spend a bunch of money. Like I know one of my girlfriend's friends spends a lot of money on like material clothes and all that kind of stuff, like designer clothes, designer bags and stuff like that. And I'm just like, she's literally told me that they've gone shopping just to go shopping, and she ends up spending like hundreds of dollars. Like it's just wild. It's unnecessary spending. And again, a lot of it stems from socializing. So this isn't to say don't socialize. I'm just saying find ways to socialize without spending a shitload of money. So that's number one. Number two is not tracking your finances. This is another big contributor to people staying broke. And I think a great example of this, if you're into personal finance at all and you watch YouTube videos, chances are you've seen Caleb Hammer. I've been following him for years at this point. Like I was watching him when he had like I think 10 or 20,000 subscribers, going back over 3 years now. I think something like that. But either way, regardless, almost every single one of his episodes that I watch, the people are spending more than they're making. But They don't know it. He always asks in his episode, and if you don't know who Caleb Hammer is, basically, real quick, he invites people onto his podcast and audits their finances. He goes over their income, their expenses, their investing, their assets, their liabilities, and everything that involves their money. It's pretty entertaining. I would definitely recommend watching it. But back to the point, almost everyone who comes on his show, he'll ask them and say, how much money comes in, number one, so they get that number. So say it's like $5,000, and then he'll ask them how much they think they spent that month. And oftentimes it's slightly lower than their income, or maybe it's slightly above. And so often it is like hundreds, if not thousands of dollars more than their income. Like for example, someone will make $4,000 in a month, and he'll ask them how much they think they spent, and they'll say, I don't know, like 4,500, which is a problem in itself. But either way, they'll say like 4,500, and then it ends up being like 6,500 or $7,000, and it's all because they don't track their finances and they don't know how much is coming in and how much is going out. So if you want to get in control of your finances and stop living paycheck to paycheck, you got to start tracking your money. And it doesn't have to be that complicated. Like, all you got to do is create a note on your phone with like a little grid that just has like a date column, a place column, a dollar amount column, and then even like a category column. And you could just fill this out every time you spend money, every time you swipe your card, every time an automatic charge comes out. Just write it down in this note. And then at the end of the month, you can see how much you spent. And then it's really not that hard to find out how much came in. You just check your bank account. And then if you're spending more than you're making, you've got a problem. You're either spending too much on shit you don't need, or you're not making enough money, or you got to cut back your expenses. Or some combination of that. So it's really important to track your money. Very, very important. You're not going to be able to get out of debt and start chasing financial freedom, and stop living paycheck to paycheck if you don't know where your money's going. So number 3, I touched on this a little bit, but another big mistake that people make that causes them to stay broke and live paycheck to paycheck is ignoring debt. Specifically, ignoring debt until it's too late. I feel like people are constantly kicking the can down the road when it comes to their debt. They think, oh, I'll take care of it later on in life. I got the rest of my life to pay off debt. I want to enjoy myself now, especially people in their 20s, man. They're like, oh, I'll worry about my credit cards, my student loans, my car loan, my personal loans. I'll worry about all that, in my 30s and 40s when I'm making more money. Man, newsflash, the older you get and the more money you make, you're just going to end up spending more, and you're never going to end up taking care of all this debt, and you're just going to make minimum monthly payments until you die, and all your money's going to go to interest. Stop doing that. Sacrifice 6 months to a year, or even 2 years if needed, whatever it takes, and just pay off your debt. The minimum monthly payments is just not enough. You got to make double, triple, quadruple payments in a month, and then that's how you pay off your debt fast. So if you're not taking care of your debt, especially credit cards and high interest debt, start doing it, because you're only hurting yourself, man. You're just giving the banks all your money for no reason. So the fourth and final reason why I believe most people stay broke is just because of a lack of financial education. I was actually speaking to a client on the phone at my job, and we actually got on the discussion of investing, which was pretty cool. It was, nice to kind of speak to someone that I didn't know just in regards to investing. It was an older gentleman. He had seen a lot. He was a lawyer. I think he was in his 60s, he said. I think he was like 62 or 67. And we got on the topic of investing, and he started talking about IRAs, and he said he has all of his investments in a traditional IRA. And he says he really wishes he was informed on the Roth IRA, because he totally would have been taking advantage of that throughout his years of working. And that just is contributed to a lack of education. He wasn't aware of it. And now that can cost him hundreds of thousands, if not, millions of dollars in taxes, depending on how much he contributed, how long he was contributing. We didn't get that deep into it. But again, now he's going to have to pay a decent chunk in taxes when he pulls this money out, because it's in a traditional IRA rather than a Roth IRA. So that's just one example of, lack of financial education. And that's a bigger example, but lack of financial education costing this guy probably hundreds of thousands of dollars just because he chose the, one account over the other. So again, that's just an example, but lack of financial education contributes to people staying broke as well, because if you don't know what to do with your money, you're not going to do it. So that's that. Those are the four things that I think are the probably the biggest contributors to people, staying broke and just living life paycheck to paycheck. And here's the thing. Here's what I think is the ultimate factor that makes people shift. It's not instant, but it's a shift from living broke to moving towards financial freedom and a comfortable lifestyle. And that's a mindset shift. There's so many things that go into this, and I'm not going to dive into all of them, but when I say a mindset shift, it's totally flipping your mindset on things like income, right? Like one job just doesn't cut it anymore. If you're in debt and you really want to achieve financial freedom, get a second job, get a third job, start learning to invest. Find another way to start an income. Start a business online. Start posting content. Like, you need to shift your mindset completely from one incomes to five incomes. Like, you need to get that aggressive. This is a massive shift in your mindset that I'm talking about here. So that's that. And again, this contributes to many other factors. The mindset shift could involve not going out to eat for the next year. Like, I'm talking drastic changes and being comfortable with that. Like, being comfortable and accepting the fact that you are not going to go out to eat for the next 365 days, because every single extra dollar that you have is going to go towards paying debt and investing. So those are just two examples, but this mindset shift, it has to be a massive shift. You need to shift your mind from a consumer to a producer. You need to shift your mind from one job to five jobs. You need to shift your mind to putting every single extra dollar you have towards investing. You need to shift your mindset from eating out once or twice a week to literally eating nothing but rice and chicken and eggs and the basic foods for the next 6 months. Like, I'm talking drastic changes here. If you can make this shift and accept it, that's where the success comes in, and that's where it comes in quickly. So yeah, I know I kind of went through the few things that I think that affect people and keep them broke. I did want to end on that sort of positive note of, making that mindset shift. I did this for a while myself. Sorry, just got a text. I did this a while for myself, made massive sacrifices, made big changes, working multiple jobs, paying off my debt, and it helped me, man. It set me up. I'm by no means am I where I want to be. I'm going for big things, but I feel like I'm in a pretty solid position for someone in my mid-20s, and it's because I just shifted my mindset and made some changes, and I got really aggressive with my goals. And I think, if anyone does that, they're going to see some good results. So I just, I would recommend giving that a try. And yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. I appreciate you checking in with me. As always, if you're new here, I post all kinds of content about personal finance, life experiences, just anything I feel like talking about. So if you like this kind of content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I post every Tuesday and Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, and then on Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So as I mentioned, I appreciate you guys as always, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.